Or one other good intelligence reason that, again, from either signals intelligence, human intelligence, or technical intelligence, they may actually know that the intent of Putin might be to escalate if this were to be used.
5 former British defence secretaries and the former Prime Minister Boris Johnson told the Sunday Times Britain should let Ukraine use British-made Storm Shadow missiles to strike targets inside Russia, with or without American permission. Is that is that a wise suggestion? Let's talk to Major General Chip Chapman, former senior British Army commander. Hello to you, Chip.
Good afternoon, John.
Welcome, Chip. Give us your take, first of all, on the importance of getting permission for Ukraine to use these British Storm Shadow missiles.
Well, you have to look at what Storm Shadow and ATACMS would do and what it wouldn't do. So what it would do is push back the Russian staging areas and push back their supply depots, therefore making it harder for them to bring combat power to bear in the close battle. What it won't do is impact on the launching of glide bombs and the firing of cruise missiles. US intelligence suggests that 90% of Russian aircraft launch from airfields which are outside the reach of Storm Shadow and ATACMS. So that's what it would do.
So does that mean it would perhaps help in giving protection to Ukrainian towns further away from the border, but not actually on the battlefield close to the border?
Yeah, it would. It'd help prosecute the deep battle to some extent. It makes the tempo of operations slow up because you can't bring the supplies and troops forward in the way that you'd ideally like to do. And although the former defence secretaries and prime ministers may have said just get on with it, there are probably pretty good targeting reasons why the British can't do this. And this is often misunderstood.
Yeah.
So a Storm Shadow is a precision-guided munition. To use a precision-guided munition, you need to identify a high-value target because these things are £1 million a pop, and that requires surveillance and reconnaissance. That can only really come not from what we would historically call air breathers, planes which fly over it, but from satellites.
Yes.
And I suspect that given the space power of America, they have something like 5,184 satellites in space, or did as at May 23, that it's only the Americans who have that look-down capability to identify the targets that they might need to hit. Then, because it's a precision-guided munition, you need navigation and guidance, which updates the missile as it's going to its target, and all that requires data links. Somewhere along that, what we call the kill chain, you probably need American capability or authorization or permissions, and somewhere along that kill chain, we probably don't have it. Now, we know from post-2014 that 18 Airborne Corps, American Airborne Corps instructed the Ukrainians in a thing called augmented targeting process when they looked at this kill chain and helped them in terms of what we call C4ISR, that's command, control, communications, computers, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. So all that sort of stuff depends on space infrastructure, and somewhere that is missing in the ability of the British to do that. Or one other good intelligence reason that, again, from either signals intelligence, human intelligence, or technical intelligence, they may actually know that the intent of Putin might be to escalate if this were to be used. So either for political reasons, technical reasons of the use of it, or intelligence reasons, it's not as simple as people think.
And just nail that down for us. If Britain were to go ahead and give permission to use Storm Shadow missiles without American permission or cooperation, what does it mean? Does that mean that these missiles could simply go astray, be wasted, hit nothing at all in empty areas, or maybe hit the wrong targets?
Well, I just don't think they'd have the targeting data to actually put the program in the data to hit the high-value targets. So it would fail probably at the forward end of looking at what you might find, track, and then target. I just don't think somewhere there's something which is missing in that. Now, of course, there was always a political decision, and 2 weeks ago, the situation seemed to have changed when people were talking once again about equalizing the battlefield, because this was supposed to be in reaction to the Iranian ballistic missiles being given to the Russians. And we know that dark ships, that is those that have their automated information systems turned off, have arrived at ports in Russian ports. So Iranian capability ballistic missiles are on the way. There's been no reciprocity in terms of allowing the Ukrainians to equalize that part of the capability spectrum.
Well, so given these important technical obstacles to going ahead with that American cooperation and permission, it's surprising that these former defence secretaries and prime minister are suggesting Britain do exactly that, aren't they? And what about the question of keeping European allies alongside, making sure as far as possible everyone moves along at the same pace?
Well, that would be a great thing to do, but it doesn't always occur, of course. And we saw that with the sort of foreign military sales and third-party transference of, for example, German Leopard 1 and Leopard 2s, where a number of allied countries couldn't just transfer their Leopard 1, Leopard 2 fleets without the permission of Germany. And that was one of the things which was a drag on tanks being given to Ukraine, for example. So it'd be great if you could go in lockstep, but there are always sovereign reasons and other reasons why nations don't.
So is there anything that you would wish to see the British Prime Minister and the British government doing now that they are not doing?
Well, of course, war is too important to be left to the military, and this is always in the realm of politics. So again, can we use these missiles? It'd be great if you could, and it would help Ukraine. Should we and must we? Are political decisions. At the moment, Starmer hasn't convinced the Americans that this needs to be done. He needs to keep on going around that sort of cycle, his own targeting cycle, to try and convince them that this might be a good thing on behalf of Ukraine.
In a nutshell, do you then think that President Biden is just too hesitant?
Someone is in the American polity.
Yeah, that's an informed answer, Major General Chip Chapman. Good to talk to you as always, Chip. Thank you.
As you would expect, Tony and I have discussed Ukraine now since taking office nearly every other week. We had a fruitful discussion today. It's hugely important. I said in my opening that this was a critical moment. It's hugely important that we're traveling together to hear from our Ukrainian counterparts and President Zelensky their assessment of the situation on the ground and their needs on the ground. It would, however, be quite wrong to comment on the detail of operational issues in a forum such as this, because the only person who could benefit is Putin. And we will do nothing to give him any advantage in his illegal invasion. On the transfer of ballistic missiles from Iran, this is a troubling pattern that we're seeing from Iran. It is definitely a significant escalation, and we are coordinating action, and we'll have more to say on that very shortly.